Hey, what's going on, everyone? I am J.A. Barrios, and I'm here to talk to you about my favorite story of all time, The Crow by James O'Barr. This is a beautifully poetic story. James O'Barr created this, written and illustrated, as a way to channel his own grief from a personal tragedy, losing someone he deeply loved. And it's never easy losing a loved one. You know, grief finds its way to fester in all these different ways, and if you don't have the right outlets, it can do just that, fester. And luckily, us creatives have our ways to channel those things into a very beautiful product. Now, this graphic novel was published in 1989, I believe. You can find reprints of this just about anywhere, I'm sure, and there's so many different series taken up from that, and but just the art in this is fantastic. Those are some of like the extra bonus pages at the back of this reprint here. It's the like one of the covers of the original first release, which I have right up here. Yeah, the art in this is just gorgeous. I really love it. Kind of really great black and white imagery there. I am not too far into it yet today. Just read to about here. So still got some, but I took a break to do this video just for you. Now, I read this every year on October 30th. That is today. No idea what day it is when you watch this video, and I don't really care because this is a tradition of mine for every year, October 30th, Devil's Night, where I like to read throughout the day this graphic novel, and then I cap it off by watching one of my many copies of this really great film adaptation of the same name, The Crow. Talk about that in a little bit. But why do I choose this day? Well, in the story, overview of the story, there's this couple. They are to be married the next day on Halloween Day. So they are unfortunately murdered the night before, October 30th. And that is why I read this story throughout the day. And yeah, it's just really great. This reprint of it has a very beautiful introduction that I would love to read the first paragraph of for you. It is titled In a Lonely Place. And this was written by John Bergen, 1993, 1 year before the film came out. One day, you are going to lose everything you have. Nothing will prepare you for that day. Not faith, not religion, nothing. When someone you love dies, you will know emptiness. You will know what it is to be completely and utterly alone. You will never forget, and you will never forgive. The lonely do not usually speak as completely and intimately as James O'Barr does here in this book. So if anything, at least take this lesson. Think about what you have to lose. And I thought that was just kind of perfect. It's a really great introduction. There's a whole like big chunk after that. Really highly encourage you guys to check it out. It's really great. As a person myself who has dealt with grief for about a third of my life now, it's never easy. I really admire James O'Barr, the way how he has taken that pain and made something so amazing is just fantastic. And that's kind of what I hope the effect I have with Ravings of an Unsettled Mind. this is my love letter to grief, and to those who are trying to overcome it. Maybe one day I'll be scrolling through YouTube and seeing a different creator doing a video just like this, but about my own book. That is the dream, they say. But yeah, really love it. Highly recommend. And so at the end of the night, for Devil's Night, I watched the 1994 release of The Crow, featuring Brandon Lee, R.I.P. Now, it is so incredibly poetic or coincidental. It's something. But unfortunately, this was supposed to be Brandon Lee's like real big break in Hollywood, and this was sadly his final project. Due to some accidents in the props department, he was shot and killed with a blank gun. I had watched a documentary. Actually, you can find it on, there's the Cursed Films show. It's called Cursed Films. It's made by Shudder, so you can find that on Shudder, and I believe Hulu now streams Cursed Films as well. They have a few Shudder exclusives on there. But one of their episodes I absolutely love. I watch it every year following this movie, and it talks about the death of Brandon Lee, and it has like the props director there, and different members of the cast. It's a really hard watch, but it's also very enlightening, and just hearing about what had happened leading up to his death. And I've never seen any of the sequels, and I know they've been on and off talking about rebooting this movie. They mentioned Jason Momoa taking on the character of Eric Draven, and I think now they're finally legitimately making a remake with Bill Skarsgård as the Crow, Eric Draven. And I still don't know how I feel about it. I don't know. I feel like certain things are sacred, and Brandon Lee does fantastic in this movie, and it's just very unfortunate that we don't get to see much more from him other than this and a couple of smaller films he did. But yeah, I don't know. Bill Skarsgård is amazing, and he's gonna kill the role. He's gonna do really, really great. I just don't know if I can watch it myself. I like to keep that with Brandon Lee, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't watch it. Something that I learned recently through watching a podcast on YouTube called We Ourselves, with talking about the possible recasting of Chadwick Boseman for Black Panther, and the inevitable just killing his character off. That redoing anything with a project that has someone who has passed doesn't necessarily promote the idea to forget about them. It just kind of gets you talking about them again. And so a lot of people I know don't really know about The Crow and Brandon Lee. And so the only thing I can hope about this remake coming out with Skarsgård is it's going to get Brandon's, story trending again. And, I think that's beautiful. But yeah, this movie is a really great adaptation. It's very different from the graphic novel itself, but it's kind of like one of those early pioneers of how Hollywood would start to take cinema for its action and sci-fi things. I'm sure The Matrix and comic book movies how we know today wouldn't exist if it weren't for The Crow. So yeah, I highly recommend that. And yeah, definitely check it out. Today's a great day for it. At the end, go look up on YouTube or on Hulu, check out Cursed Films, and find the Crow episode. It's a very great episode. I think it's fantastic. Luckily, in this VHS copy, at the very end of the film, there's a really cute featurette that has some like talking heads with Brandon Lee and stuff, and it's pretty great. So I like watching, you know, throughout this film, that featurette, and then now that Curse Films released an episode, that's kind of like my yearly go-to with that as well. But yeah, thank you so much for listening. I hope you all have a very fun and safe Devil's Night. Yeah, please read The Crow. It is definitely my most favorite. Got my first tattoo with a best friend of mine, Luke, and I got the crow shape on there, which is something that Eric places on like walls or the floors. It's like his calling card in the film. So yeah, I got that when I was 18 years old. It just says like my first tattoo, something I absolutely love, and I really love crows. Very connected with them, and over the years, it's become even developed more meaning with just the amounts of loss and grief that I've gone through, and so I feel even more and more connected with the crows, and that's kind of why I added the "I live" on top of it to remind myself that I live for those who no longer do. And yeah, so again, thank you for watching. Leave some comments if you have them. I'd love to rap with anybody more about the film and the graphic novel and what you may or may not think about the upcoming reboot. And be sure to check out my new release, Ravings of an Unsettled Mind. It's a collection of short horror stories that are inspired by themes of grief. Yeah, so catch you next time and stay spooky, everyone.